I thought this cannot be real.
The reason I didn't think it was AI is because it looks like the stomach is fake, where the baby, I swear.
Have you ever noticed how some stories just won't? No matter how many official statements are released, no matter how many PR teams work around the clock to bury them, they linger, they fester, they grow legs. And this one about Meghan Markle, the birth of baby Archie and the woman now claiming to be the real surrogate, is no longer just a rumor. It's detonating into a scandal that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the Sussexes. So, before we go any further, hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear is a story packed with secrets, suspicion, and receipts. And this may just be the biggest royal controversy since Diana's tell-all shook the monarchy to its core. Let's begin with the claim that flipped the entire narrative on its head. A woman has come forward, not with a tabloid-ready sob story or a grab for fame, but with something far more dangerous. Details. She says she carried Archie, that Meghan Markle paid her to stay silent, to disappear, and to pretend like she was never part of the royal story. And for years, she did just that. She kept the secret, accepted the terms, and watched from the sidelines as Meghan and Harry introduced Archie to the world as their biological child. But now, that silence is over. She says promises were broken, protection was pulled, and that what began as a private agreement has become a burden she can no longer carry. The weight of her words alone would be enough to stir the pot. But when she starts naming lawyers, referencing meetings, and hinting at legal paperwork with royal signatures, that's when people stop laughing and start listening. And here's where it gets strange. Meghan, who is known for clapping back at the press, suing tabloids, and setting records straight in Oprah-level interviews, has gone completely quiet. Not a word, not even a denial. That silence. It's loud, because Meghan has always played the game of public image like a pro. Every move is calculated, every photo is styled, every statement is crafted to reinforce her brand. So when someone accuses her of orchestrating a cover-up about her own child's birth and, she says, absolutely nothing, it makes people ask one thing: what's she hiding? Let's rewind a bit. Remember Meghan's pregnancy? The photo ops? The odd angles of her baby bump? The way it seemed to shift shape depending on the event? There were clips of her crouching low in heels, of her adjusting the bump like it was a costume piece. At the time, anyone who questioned it was branded a hater, a conspiracy theorist, or worse. But now, with this woman speaking up, it all suddenly looks a lot less like nonsense and a lot more like evidence. The absence of a traditional hospital photo after Archie's birth raised eyebrows too. No standard royal hospital steps moment. No post-delivery glow. Just a curated photo session days later in Windsor Castle, with Meghan looking airbrushed and Harry flashing a fixed smile. The baby wrapped so tightly in a blanket, you couldn't even see his face. At the time, it was brushed off as a modern twist on royal tradition. But in hindsight, it feels like the beginning of a cover story. And now, someone's saying exactly that. The woman claiming to be the surrogate says she was promised anonymity, lifelong financial support, and a clean break. In return, she gave them a child and agreed to vanish. But after a while, the calls stopped. The money dried up, the protection disappeared. And in its place, silence, fear, and an overwhelming feeling of betrayal. So she's talking, and when someone talks with the kind of confidence this woman has, people listen. She's not begging for attention. She's not launching a podcast. She's preparing something bigger. Something that insiders say includes texts, emails, and legally binding agreements. And that's not just juicy gossip. That's potentially explosive evidence. Meanwhile, Meghan's team is still silent. No cease and desist, no lawsuit, no sources close to the Duchess denying the story, just nothing, and that nothing is turning into something. It's becoming a vacuum that the internet is all too eager to fill with memes, theories, timelines, and replays of every odd moment from Meghan's pregnancy. The bump that collapsed, the squatting, the constant adjustment. It's all coming back to the surface. And this time, it's not being dismissed, it's being dissected. Even the timeline of Archie's birth is under scrutiny. Some claim the dates don't add up, that there were inconsistencies in the announcements, the baby's first photo, and even the alleged due date. And when someone suggests this was done to allow the baby time to be weaned from the birth mother, it doesn't sound so crazy anymore. It sounds plausible because here's the thing: people aren't scandalized by the idea of surrogacy. In fact, it's widely accepted today. Celebrities do it. Royals could too, with honesty. But hiding it, faking it, making someone vanish, then pretending the pregnancy was real, that crosses into deception. It's not about using a surrogate. It's about crafting a lie and expecting the world to go along with it. And Meghan, she built her public identity on being the truth teller, the modern Duchess, the one who told her side of the story when the palace tried to silence her. But if this woman's story is true, then Meghan wasn't silenced. She was the one doing the silencing, and that changes everything. Especially when you consider what's at stake. This isn't just about Meghan's image, this is about the legitimacy of a royal child, a child in the line of succession, a child whose birth carried constitutional weight. If the truth is that a surrogate was used and it was covered up, that's not just a PR issue. That's a constitutional crisis. And yet, nothing. No one from the palace has stepped in. No statement from King Charles. No mention from William or Kate. Just a collective silence that's becoming more deafening. By the day, some say it's because they want to protect Archie. Others say it's because they're scrambling behind the scenes. But more and more people believe it's because they know something and they're hoping this all blows over before the truth comes out. But here's the problem. It's not blowing over, it's gaining momentum. What started as whispers is now a full-blown narrative war. And at the center of it is one simple question. Why would Meghan, someone who's known for controlling every single frame of her public image, go completely mute on a story this massive? Let's not pretend Meghan Markle doesn't know how to navigate a media storm. She's battled the British press, sued tabloids, faced off with palace insiders, and delivered one of the most watched interviews in television history. Every time someone came for her, she fired back strategically, swiftly, and often with legal muscle. But not this time. This time, she's chosen silence. No social post, no opt, no tearful podcast confession. And that's what's giving this story its staying power. Because in the absence of facts, people chase patterns. They go back. They reanalyze, and now they're finding that the signs were always there. The photos where the bump looked unusually square. The dress that wrinkled in the exact spot the belly should have been firm. The footage of Meghan's coat flattening completely as she bent forward, a physical impossibility if there were a baby inside. At the time, those moments were dismissed as internet nitpicking. But now, with the surrogate coming forward, people are no longer dismissing, they're connecting. And the picture they're painting isn't pretty. It's calculated, choreographed, manufactured. But what makes this even more compelling is the emotional undercurrent. Because Meghan didn't just brand herself as a duchess, she branded herself as a victim of cruelty, a truth teller, a woman who stood up to centuries of silence and told her truth no matter the cost. That was her power, her weapon. So if this surrogate's claims are true and Meghan deliberately lied about something, as fundamental as childbirth, doesn't just damage her image, it destroys her credibility. And what about Prince Harry? For years, he's been portrayed as the heart-in-his-sleeve rebel prince who would give up everything for love and family. But now the public is questioning his role in all this. Did he know the full story? Was he part of the plan to fake the pregnancy? Or has he too been caught in a deception orchestrated without his full understanding? Because either way, it's bad. If he knew, he's complicit. If he didn't, he's being manipulated. And that's a dangerous position for someone already estranged from his family and trying to build a brand based on transparency and healing. Some insiders are already whispering that Harry's been more absent lately, keeping a lower profile, avoiding major press events, and even skipping certain high-profile public engagements. His silence, much like Meghan's, isn't neutral, it's suspicious. Meanwhile, the surrogate reportedly isn't done talking. Sources close to the woman claim she's sitting on a digital mountain of receipts. Messages from Meghan's assistant, emails confirming logistics, payment schedules, even voice notes, and perhaps most damning of all, hints of a private video call between her and Meghan during the pregnancy, where the Duchess allegedly gave very specific instructions about the public narrative. If even one of those items is released, it would detonate the whole charade. And let's not forget, this isn't just about scandal. It's about the monarchy, about the implications of having a potentially non-biological heir presented as royal blood. Because while Meghan and Harry may have walked away from their official duties, they didn't walk away from their titles. And Archie, whether they like it or not, remains in the line of succession. So now, legal experts are stepping in. Analysts are digging through royal bylaws and historical precedents, wondering what would happen if this claim turned out to be true. Could it invalidate Archie's status? Would it tarnish the legitimacy of royal succession? Could the monarchy be forced to issue a clarification or even take action? Nobody wants to ask those questions publicly yet. But behind palace walls, they're being asked every day. And in California, the legal landscape is shifting too, because if Meghan did fake a birth and submit falsified documents to secure a birth certificate, that's not just a lie, it's a potential crime. And if the surrogate has proof, that opens up a Pandora's box of legal headaches the Sussexes aren't prepared for. Meanwhile, their carefully constructed brand built on podcasts, speaking engagements, and inspirational sound bites is starting to fracture, because in an age where people value authenticity above all, nothing kills credibility faster than the feeling of being duped. And that's exactly how many of Meghan's fans are beginning to feel. They defended her when the press attacked. They stood by her during Megxit. They applauded her for speaking out on mental health, race, and motherhood. But now they feel like they've been sold a fairy tale that wasn't just embellished. It was entirely fabricated, and for someone whose brand hinges on truth, that's a fatal blow. Even their Netflix deals, once hailed as groundbreaking, are now under new scrutiny. Viewers are going back through every scene, every episode, wondering what else might have been edited, staged, or reimagined. Because once the illusion breaks, you start questioning everything. And then there's Archie, a child who didn't ask for any of this, who's growing up in the eye of a global media storm with no clear understanding of why the world keeps talking about the circumstances of his birth. His innocence is being weaponized by both sides, used as proof of honesty or as evidence of manipulation. And that's what makes this so tragic. Because no matter what happens next, Archie will forever be at the center of a story he never had the chance to write. And Meghan and Harry, they're running out of time. They can't keep ignoring this. The longer they wait, the more dangerous it becomes. Because public opinion doesn't stay neutral forever. It shifts, it hardens. And right now, it's turning fast. Behind the scenes, something is brewing. Whispers of a public statement, hints of a damage control strategy. A few anonymous sources close to the couple have started planting vague quotes in select outlets, but it's not enough. Not anymore, because this story has grown beyond their control. It's no longer just a PR issue, it's a credibility crisis. And the public, they're not waiting for permission to judge. They're already forming conclusions. And the surrogate, she hasn't even gone fully public yet. No televised interview, no social media live stream, no face revealed. She's remained in the shadows, but the threat of her stepping into the light is hanging heavy over the heads of Meghan and Harry. Why? Because she's made it clear, if pushed further, she's prepared to release it all. Receipts, photos, voice messages, legal agreements that could prove once and for all that the entire pregnancy was a public performance and that Archie was born of another woman who was promised the world and left with nothing. And that, more than anything, terrifies Meghan's team, because the story they spent years perfecting, packaging, and protecting is starting to crack under the weight of the truth. It's not just Meghan who stands to lose everything. Harry, too, has hitched his identity to this brand of emotional honesty, of healing, of escape from royal rigidity. He wrote a memoir about it. He cried on camera about it. But if he was part of the deception, or worse, knowingly went along with it, then his vulnerability begins to look less like courage and more like manipulation. And in the eyes of the public, that's unforgivable. There's also the royal family's silence to contend with. Thus far, not a single senior royal has commented on the story. But behind palace gates, you can be sure this has caused shockwaves, not just because of the allegations themselves, but because of what they breach in the centuries-old expectation of lineage, duty, and trust. If Archie's birth was misrepresented, it calls into question not just his royal standing, but the integrity of the monarchy itself. What happens if the surrogate proves her case? Would the monarchy have to issue a correction? Would titles be stripped? Would succession rights be altered? These are questions no royal wants to answer, and yet they may be forced to, whether they like it or not. Because if this surrogate speaks, and she brings irrefutable proof, the British public will demand accountability. So will the Commonwealth. So will the world. But here's the thing, this story isn't going away. Not because people love drama, but because they feel deceived, betrayed, and no amount of PR. Magic can restore trust once it's broken. The longer Meghan and Harry remain silent, the worse it gets. Because silence only works when no one is looking. And right now, the whole world is staring. From Meghan's oddly structured bump to the vanishing birth details. From Harry's eerily staged grin during Archie's introduction to the complete absence of any authentic post-delivery moment, every puzzle piece is finally being laid out on the table, and it all seems to point to one chilling possibility: that we were watching a performance from the very beginning. This isn't just a scandal, it's a reckoning. A slow unmasking of a story that was too polished, too perfect, too protected to be real. And when the mask finally falls, what's left behind may not be the inspiring, empowered couple we were told to admire. It may be something else entirely. A warning, a cautionary tale. A reminder that even the most carefully curated brand can shatter in an instant when the truth comes knocking. So where does it go from here? That depends on the next move. Meghan and Harry can either continue hiding behind silence, letting the court of public opinion sentence them without defense, or they can speak truthfully, completely now. Because the longer they wait, the more control they lose, the more doubt they create, and the more power they hand over to someone they once paid to disappear. A woman who's no longer willing to be erased. So what do you believe? Was Meghan hiding a surrogate from the start? Did Harry? No. And what will happen if the receipts come out and everything we were told turns out to be a royal illusion? Whatever happens next, you won't want to miss it. Subscribe to the channel right now, because when this story explodes, and it will, you will want to be here for every twist, every leak, and every truth they never wanted us to see. The stage is set. The silence is breaking, and the truth, it's coming whether they're ready or not.